You have a Zenyatta profile picture, but you're a
In my
flex
name.
tank.
Yeah.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I know. I know.
That's okay. That's okay. Flex tank is still pretty cool though, because like you
Right?
actually, I'd rather that than coach yet another tracer OTP. All due respect. So I've coached
Fair
more
enough.
tracer than I'd care to admit recently. But
Most meta hero ever.
geez, like I mean, I listen. I'm not even complaining that much. I respect the tracer. I think tracer's a great hero. However, personally, I'm a little bit like, I'm like, all right,
Yeah, yeah.
let's
Just
do
watch
so.
the VODs, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what got you interested in coaching?
Um, I got a bunch of coaching. I used to be on console, so I was on console for a long time, and then about 9 months ago, I switched to PC, and then like 5 months ago, I started trying in Overwatch. And I just kind
What
of had
made
like
you
a good
transition?
basis. Sorry.
What made you transition to PC?
Um, I mean, you always hear it on console. Everyone's like, "Oh, PC's just better. PC's better."
Mm-hmm.
I always had interest in the input too. Like, I'd never played a game. Like, I never PC gamed at all. So I was kind of interested in PC gaming as a whole. So, and I had the money to do it because I'm a little older. So I was
Okay,
like, sure.
fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. And then you said you started into the game seriously.
Yeah. So I was playing. I was like scrimming on console, and then I felt like kind of capped, and I was like, okay, time to try PC, try there. And then I got a bit of coaching, and none of it's really clicked. Like, I'm pretty happy with my spot on PC originally, but then recently I kind of fallen back, and I feel like I need to like reevaluate kind of fundamental stuff just to get over the current hurdle that I'm dealing with.
And what hurdle are you at right now? Masters?
Yeah, so I hit GM4 in like my second season of playing on PC. I was like, okay, sick. Like, I was like a 4.1 player on console, so I was like, okay, this is pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
And then recently this season it put me down from finishing GM4 to Masters 4. I was like, okay, whatever, RNG. And then I just can't get out of it. So I'm like, okay, it must be me. So
Okay, interesting. Looking through your form here. And this has been for how long have you been stuck?
just this season.
Just this season. Okay.
Yeah.
What heroes have you been playing a lot of this season?
Ram, Winston, Diva, trying to do JQ a bit, but it's not clicking that well.
And last season?
Same thing.
Same thing. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of climbing on Ram, and then I felt like Ram is my weakest this season, so I don't know if I'm like, there might be a disconnect somewhere.
Yeah, there might be something to investigate there. Maybe something to put some thought into. What do you hope you get out of the session? Better training habits, general tank knowledge, and maybe lacking in a good old time. Well, I can't guarantee that one. But better training habits, general tank knowledge, and maybe lacking. Okay. So, how long have you been playing the game in console? And you said you were GM in 5 in console? 4?
Yeah, so I was like 4.1 holding
Yeah.
in Overwatch 1, and then
Yeah.
I low GM High Masters.
So
I
you
didn't play
didn't
as
take the
much
game
in
seriously
Overwatch 2.
and you were your Grandmaster.
Yeah, when I was Diamond, I kind of got a bit of coaching, and then I started playing on teams. That's when I kind of started taking it a little more seriously, and then more seriously when I went to PC.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
makes sense. Okay, why tank?
I kind of have like a leader personality, so it kind of matches my personality type.
Big mouth, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I like to talk a lot, so
Mhm,
it kind of fits a little
That's
bit.
okay. That's okay. Talking is
Yeah.
great, especially when it's me talking. So I get that.
Fair enough.
Okay, fair enough. And so you just kind of appealed that kind of shot calling leadership kind of style. How has the Overwatch 2 transition gone for you in terms of like some of the hero redesigns, some of the newer
Yeah.
tanks, Jumper Queen?
I like really struggled with it at the start because I didn't understand. Like, I used to play like a lot of Diva, and I was like, okay, I'm an enabler. And then I tried to play Diva in Overwatch 2 the first like weeks it was out, and I was like, wow, this is not the same hero that I was really good at in Overwatch 1.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things like you kind of have to shift to like a little bit more of like a solo mindset. I feel like it's a little more deathmatchy, but I feel like as meta's panned out, it's kind of equaled out.
Okay. Sounds good. And why flex tank? Because most tanks are like, oh, I'm the Church of Winston or the Church of Diva, or like I'm a ball OTP or whatever. So you're a flex tank. Is that more of your team background kind of coming out?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like having the ability to cover everything that your team needs.
Makes sense. And for you personally, selfishly, if I had to lock you into a room with one hero, you could only play that one hero, what would that hero be?
It used to be Ball. Probably Winston though, because
Why not Ball?
Like I had a lot of fun in Overwatch 1 because there was a lot more space created by my other tank, and then in this game it's a lot on you. So I feel like the things that I learned and taught myself in Overwatch 1 don't apply as directly.
Like what?
Like your Diva can hold space for you to set up, and then you can hit. Now you need to like hold space, set up your flank, and then hit perfectly.
Oh, got it.
I feel like that's just
Okay. Makes sense. What else besides Ball? Any other tank?
I love Winston.
And if we had a third?
Probably Diva.
Okay, okay. And yet, Ram, Jungle Queen,
I,
just
I
based
want to
off of
work
need.
on the Ram.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Why?
Um, he feels really like flexible depending on the metas. Like he can play into like a semi poke and he can play into a hard brawl. Um,
Sure.
he just feels like a very self-sustaining tank, so it's good to have like that in your toolkit.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Are you playing with any teams, or are you planning on playing in any teams anytime
Yeah,
soon?
yeah. I'm currently on one. We're kind of in like a restructure, but I've been on the same one since I switched to PC.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Because I guess my question is, if flex tank makes a lot of sense if you're playing with a team, but obviously having
Mhm.
something of a specialty is still fine, even within a team environment. Even within a team environment. I mean, for crying out loud, it's Overwatch. Like teams have tank specialists, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
teams will lean into certain tank metas because of the people. I mean, right now it's not the best example because everyone's crying if they don't have a Winston player. But
Yeah,
this is like the
exactly.
worst it's ever been in a long time, and even now, teams are still leaning into their specialties when they can. Um, 6.5 to 7 hours of sleep, definitely a little bit on the lower end, but you know, any little bump there. Let's put it this way: you will never hit Grandmaster unless you have 7 to 7.5 hours of sleep.
Okay. I can do that.
Okay. What are your long-term, short-term goals? Climb back and maintain low Grandmaster. Build a structured regimen to train and improve. Why low Grandmaster?
I mean, I'd love to hit GM1, but I think setting up more realistic, like
Okay,
what I
fair
can
enough.
do right now, get back to
Long
at least where I was, and then push further.
Got it. Okay. Build a structured regimen to train and improve. I'm gonna hammer at that one a little bit because that's definitely a common theme for you. Long term, obtain and retain top 500 play for a high placing team in OD, higher knowledge and confidence in decisions. So talk to me about training regimen, because what do you hope to get out of the session? Better training habits. Short term goals, structured regimen to train. Definitely something that you are aware of and want to improve at. So my question is, have you put any effort on your own into developing or working at or improving a training regimen? And if so, how has that gone? And what have you done?
Yeah, I'd say like I've watched a couple of like your Spyro 2 VODs, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times you like have like a good at least 10 minutes talking to people about like sleep and how to like properly train.
Yeah.
That's just where my interest came from. Things like incorporating like never going right into comp, always like playing a couple games of anything like either a deathmatch, quick play, Winston juggle, anything to get some sort of like mechanics that isn't in game.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I just make sure to never go into like a scrim dry. Like I always make
Yeah.
sure I'm playing at least 40 minutes before if I can.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
so
Okay.
stuff like that.
Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. So here's a question for you. You said you have like 30, 40 minutes of warm up and then you go into rank. So what is the average day, average week of playtime looking for you?
Um, I scrim Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday,
Okay.
and then I try to get at least on the scrim days, probably just like the 30-minute warm up, then the 2 hour scrims, and then the other days I try to get at least like 2 hours, hour and a half.
Okay. Okay.
It
And how
doesn't
long
always
has that
pan out
been
that way.
consistent for you?
Sorry.
How long has that been consistent for you?
Um, Probably mostly consistent the past 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I would say that's definitely on the lower end for some of the goals that you're setting, but it's possible. It's going to require a lot of intensity when you are in game, though, because like 2.5 hours, not a ton of games. When I hit Grandmaster, it took me about 3 hours per day of play,
Okay.
and I had to be pretty like religiously consistent with it. But everybody's different, right? Everybody has a different level of intensity, a different level of focus. Some people will be able to get it through less. Some people will need more. So what I would do is I would keep in mind that where you're at right now um, needs to be pretty consistent for you to be able to hit low Grandmaster, right? And you also need to make sure that you're giving yourself as much focus on specific goals while you're in that. Now, let's talk a little bit about your warm up. So, where are you at right now? We talked a little bit about it already, but what do you do on the average day for warm up?
I mean the most like average if I don't want to put a lot of thought into it is just play 2 games of quick play on the heroes that I'm gonna
Okay.
intend to play, right?
Okay.
If usually after like if I have a scrim where like my primals are like really bad, I'll spend at least half an hour or an hour the next day trying to like focus in on that one aspect.
Sure. Sure.
Especially with primal, because I feel like it's just rinse and repeat. You got to keep doing it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I think that's okay. I think maybe 2 games of quick play is not the best use of your time. So here's what I would recommend. If you are playing something like a Winston, Ball, heck, even a Diva, honestly, deathmatch would be fine. Like really, really, really fine. because there's enough mechanical aspect of just like landing your jumps, getting your right clicks on Winston, getting your combos on ball. Diva, you're tracking like your micro missiles, your matrix usage. People are gonna hate your guts, but it's fine. You have nerfed HP. I would recommend doing that just because you need more rapid mechanical exposure. And in quick play, you're not going to be strategically challenged enough for it to really be comparable with ranked, if that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Because it's like you're having more duels per
right
10 minutes, right? Yeah,
more duels, more mechanical prowess, and while quick play definitely has more strategic push than deathmatch, obviously it's not enough to really warm you up in that regard. And I'm not convinced that that's even necessarily something that you need to be warmed up for. I think just getting your brain warmed up for mechanics and focusing on only mechanics during your warm up, and then just going into your competitive experience and focusing strictly on your strategic kind of side of things, I think that's totally fine. I'm trying to think of the best analogy that I have is that, like, for example, if you're like going into a lifting session, like you're going to go lift some heavy weights, if you have already lifted a weight earlier, a heavier weight earlier, like let's say you're doing heavy back squats, or let's say you're doing sprints in the backyard, or you're doing heavy pull-ups, and you go into a bench press, your brain is already warmed up. All you need to do is get that part of your body, the blood flowing. So you can actually cut down your warm-up, even if the lifts are totally different, because your brain is already warmed up. And I think the same is with Overwatch. If you're warmed up in deathmatch, you're pretty much warmed up for competitive, even though the strategy is not exactly the same kind of thing, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I just to be more efficient with your time, that's what I would recommend doing. And I also think that that's going to help you. I mean, ironically, I do think that like it is worth putting time into mechanics. And so whether that's, honestly, you could, if you're playing a lot of Winston, do the same thing but do a primal session. Do one deathmatch primal session, go into your ranked games. That's what I would do. Or you could do 0 cooldown ball. Roll around on a map that you've been struggling with.
That's how I taught myself ball.
Right.
I had a code and I just rolled around.
Right. Roll around. Find every single rollout. Practice some text. Do that for 5-10 minutes. Go into a deathmatch with some ball. Even Ram and deathmatch is pretty good practice. Never miss a punch. You know what I'm saying? Because like think about how many times you're gonna be punching Genjis and Tracers. You know what I'm saying? Like that's pretty good practice. That's pretty good practice, right? I think a lot of tanking in Overwatch 2, is we were kind of talking about earlier with the Diva, is like being really clean at your 1v1s, right? Being really clean. And I think like that more than ever, I think being mechanically strong is very rewarding, I think. So I would look into that if I were you.
Yeah.
And at least experiment with it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but I would try with it. Maybe just cutting down to one quick play game if you feel the strategy jump is too hard, right? Something to consider. And then when you play ranked, do you have specific or set goals to practice? Is that something you've been working? You said you've got coaching before. Is that something that you were able to like get some goals to write down?
Yeah. A lot of team coaching, not necessarily like micro stuff. Something I didn't write down that I kind of like self-diagnosed is like, we might, if we get to gameplay, we'll probably cover it, but like mid-fight, like I think I really understand matchup and I understand how to posture and how to enter a fight, but then if it doesn't go perfectly, I'll lose my composure in the mid-fight. So that's like one thing that I specifically tried to like harp on and like focus on in my games, is like don't lose composure. Like I'm trying to think. Like you use NAM to get in, but then they all kite you, and then like you're in with your ult, and then you're like, oh, I don't know where to go. I have to show you. I can't think of like a specific example.
Okay, makes sense. All right, we'll take a look. So like let's set some stuff so far. So far, I'm typing your channel. General, toy with warm up, maybe more deathmatch, less QP, more mechanically intense. Focus on consistency with the 2 to 2.5 hours of play. Definitely on the lower end. Now, right now in scrimmages, what tanks are you playing?
Ram Winston.
Only Ram Winston. Okay.
Diva, something like in some parts.
Okay,
like we played some like catching comps, like on route, we'll catch the dive.
Do you have do you have Overwatch pulled up, or could you pull it up quickly?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious to see a screenshot of your career profile this season.
It's Winston Ram.
Okay. Well, is it really? Like what percentage here?
6 hours monkey, 5 hours Ram. That's not a lot.
And then what's the next hero?
on a Curie. So
Okay. So no, basically that's it. Literally it. Okay.
well, then ball JQ have 2 hours. So I guess
Okay.
that's
Okay. So I guess just try to have your ranked hours mirror your scrim hours, basically. Just because like if you change and you're playing more diva, then you can play more diva and ranked. Like basically what you want to do is you don't want to be spreading yourself too thin with 2.5 hours. Maybe you'd have more flexibility if you could bump that time up a little bit, but I would say at most you want to be playing 3 heroes because you want to be aiming for 2 to 3 games per hero per day, if that makes any sense, at least.
yeah, gotcha.
Okay, makes sense. Warm up is fine. Having specific goals to practice in a scrim and a ranked game, very important. Do you take breaks during that 2 to 2.5 hour session?
Yeah, I kind of like just do the whole like play 2 games, stand up, walk around 5 minutes, come back.
Great.
Type of
Can
thing.
you do
I don't
that
like to
every
just
one
like
game?
I don't like to chain queue. Okay, sure.
Okay. Yeah. It's like oh I thought I was doing okay well okay now we're getting ridiculous. Yeah.
Close enough.
But really like even if it's just for 30 seconds, right? Like I respect that you're already aware of the issue, but I think you can push it even further.
May as well.
Because you're at a point in time now to where like you're you got to be squeezing every bit of juice you can out of that 2 to 2.5 hours.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So you might as well optimize it, not only just for like your ability to focus, but it's good anti-tilt. Will help you to kind of stay refreshed, remind yourself of your goals. I see no downside, even if it's just 30 seconds, right? So make sure to take 30-second to 1 minute break between every game. Make sure ranked pool is matching scrim pool. Anything else that I'm forgetting here? I think those are the big ones.
I don't think so.
Nothing really major with your training schedule. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. You're already doing a lot of things well, so just do them, but do them slightly better, right?
Yeah.
Little adjustments long term will matter a lot, right? Okay. What do you feel is holding you back from improving understanding of certain matchups and win conditions? Do any come to mind off the bat?
I mean, that's kind of funny. I wrote that and then I got a bunch of coaching on that. So I think I have a decent grasp, and it's more so kind of transition to like the mid-fight thing I was mentioning. Like
right, and that's your next point, even in the form, right? It's lack of confidence in mid-fight decisions. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So you're at least your old you was half right. Okay.
Way smarter than current me. Yeah.
Apparently. Is there anything else that comes to mind that you have any questions over before we get into gameplay?
I don't think so. I think we'll just come up as we go.
Okay, sounds good. Let's take a look here.
Okay. Is it easier for you to have a scrim bot or a comp bot?
Totally up to you. Scrim bot is going to be a little bit more focused on the team play side of things.
Yeah.
Your role. Comp bot is going to be more focused on just you personally and your mechanics, your decision making. Both can work, and we have a little bit of time, so
yeah. Let's just start with the scrim one because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that I did wrong.
Okay.
That I think my team was doing well.
Okay. Okay. Let's go on. Does code work right here?
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Let's Okay. What is some stuff that you've been working on with your team, or anything that you were working on in this particular game, and why this map? What do you want to look at here?
We would focus a lot on like playing for our flex support value, and then also posturing our 2 flankers to pinch with me. So just like trying to create like the best kill boxes in LOS for nade, and then hitting on it.
Okay. And where do you think that you were choking?
Where do you think I'm choking?
Yeah. Where do you think that you were underperforming? You were talking about how you were underperforming.
I think kind of the mid-fight thing, like the indecision, like when I need to trade, when I don't need to trade backlines. And I think for the most part, I always need to trade backlines. And I kind of shift into like the diva mindset of trying to peel, and just it kind of gets me punished sometimes.
Okay, makes sense. Any questions before we get started?
Nope.
Okay, let's take a look here. Good use to cover. Yeah, this is it right here. So here's the thing: you're gonna bubble this guy off, or maybe you're gonna bubble this guy off. Maybe you're not. Okay, so what's the mentality here for you? What is the decision? How recent was the scrim, by the way?
This is like I have everything in my head. This is so recent.
Great. So what was the decision making here?
So I call Winston's trolling, and then I kind of realize now that I'm kind of trolling by even looking at him. I should just trade.
Now, why would you say Winston's trolling? What about this is trolling?
Bubble when he has max armor.
Right.
And
so
LOS.
He's kind of wasted his bubble. So who's there to punish Winston?
Our backline.
Right, not you. So what should you do to make sure that your backline can safely punish the Winston?
Bubble their backline so they can't help
Correct.
them.
Correct. Where? Who? When?
Probably. My mind says just sit on the pole or jump the brig, and
Okay.
like
So like jump here or jump
yeah,
here. Yeah, I think either can work. What are the upsides and downsides for either engage?
the upside.
Why would
Sojourn
you
will
go
have
Sojourn? Why would
slide.
you go Brig? Go ahead.
Well, Sojourn I can stop a crossfire, so my backline can actually deal with the monkey. Like right now, the Tracer's kind of out and the Ana's kind of out. So I think Sojourn's probably the best just to force cooldowns.
What are your other options? You talked about the Brig. Upsides, downsides?
Upsides or downside would be like the position isn't amazing. Like they kind of have the dojo, like my Sombra's in there, but I can't really just wrap around.
Sure.
It's a bit of open space with a crossfire from their Tracer and their Soj.
What's going to stop your backline from punishing their Winston? What is your backline scared of?
Damage.
Okay, what else?
Nade.
Right, so you jump Sojourn, you stop damage, yes?
Mm-hmm.
You jump Ana or Control Dojo, you stop Nade. So which one are you more concerned about in terms of the positioning that they're taking, or what's going to be the best for you as a Winston that's not going to get you punished? What do you think?
Right now, Sojourn is more of a threat.
I think so too. So let's. I also think that if you jump the Sojourn, maybe use the pull. Well, you might not even need to bubble right away. Let's see what happens. So obviously, first mistake here, going hard. Thoughts? Looks pretty good so far, right?
Yeah.
But what are you about to do?
Use bubble when I don't have to.
Right. She's not even looking at you. You can greed this one a little bit longer so that you can place bubble where?
Like in the room.
Like in
so
the
we can
room.
anchor it.
Right
yeah,
here, right? So that you can actually just chase that much further. I think the transition to the Tracer is actually fine. Forcing recall there is like really, really high value. Fine. I wouldn't say this was too bad of a fight. It's that initial focus on Winston that has us the most concern, plus the early bubble. Because what we want to do is we don't just want to like, we want to fix specific skills that you need to be changing. Things that you specifically need to be improving at, right?
This starts really well, then it goes really bad. So just.
All right, I'm looking forward to it. Don't take damage. Don't take damage. Don't take damage. Okay, so this isn't bad. I assume, was this your Ana calling this engage?
Every engage, we're looking for an early nade, yeah.
Okay. Looks good. As long as your team can follow up, it's fine. Don't peek, don't peek, don't peek, don't peek, don't peek, don't peek, don't peek. Maybe a deep jump, maybe. You're thinking about it.
I think I'm yelling at my back, or seeing if my flankers are set up. See, this is yeah.
Yeah. Because here's what you are bubbling off your backline from the follow-up, yes? But there's two things that you can do with Winston in this composition. You can bubble off your backline, protect them from threats, and you can do damage. You're only doing one of those two things right now. Whereas if you did this here, you could do two of those two things. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You would not only be able to get good active damage threat out, that would force cooldowns, do damage, maybe lead to kills, force more cooldowns. But you would also block off the very threat that you're trying to block off here. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference between... Because I like what you're doing, and one of the two things that you're doing, but the problem is that look at how much space this backline gets. You see this?
Yeah.
Like, this is unreal, and that's just from one bubble placement. So what starts as like relatively, I'm not getting punished for it, and like as you said, you will. If this keeps happening, it's inevitable. Any questions so far?
No. It's a lot of the questions are on retake. Like once we lose this, it'll get a lot messier.
Okay, so I guess so I have a question for you. You seem so quick to point that error out, but yet it's happened 3 times in a row. Or maybe not 3 times in a row, but at least twice in a row. So is this something that you just recently recognized? Is this something that you know that you have, but you haven't quite fixed the habit yet, or what?
With like the mid-fight stuff?
The bubble thing, the specifically peel bubble, right?
Yeah, I think every time I do it, I realize how little value it gets, and then I top down it, and I'm like, oh my god, I could have just like done it way better on backline. So I think it's weird because I've known about it for a little bit, and I've been trying to correct it, but...
Okay. We can talk about ways to correct it in a little bit. but we'll get to that later. But yeah, it's definitely an issue. Obviously fine. Could have been played around that bubble a little bit better, but this is good. There's nade, there's sleep. She's still probably gonna die. I think somebody's off the map. Oh, I thought somebody was off the map. Honestly fine, to be honest with you. Mostly fine. In terms of how you play this one mechanically, not the cleanest of all time, but I think good enough. Like, we're choosing our battles here, right? Ah, she got scouted. Oh, that also is a thing, but I think she's dead either way. Okay, let's take a look here. So you said the retakes were things where got messy.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I'm gonna let it play first, and then as your questions come up, just holler. Okay, you've seen it, right?
Yes. Yes. I'm trying to internalize what this means to me. It means that I'm way more free to go because my backline can punish him, yeah?
Yes. Well, it means that your backline isn't scared of anything. So your backline's going to press W and not worry about getting traded, right? So you're more confident that if I jump in, I'm going to get support because my backline's not going to be cut off. So what should you do here? You know, maybe
make a beeline to their backline.
Yeah, probably. Just you could. This little flank here is fine. Obviously, hitting your head on the thing is like really bad. But like you could just get up in here, get all up in their grill, right? One little team play issue. I'm noticing that you're a little bit late to the engage a lot. I don't think it's necessarily your problem, but if you want to talk with your team about this, like we've got a hack, we've got a tracer in, we've got a nade, and then you go in, right? This has happened a few times where it feels like you are the one that's responding to your DPS and supports doing something instead of you the one setting the tempo. The reason why I want you to not necessarily always go first, but go immediately after they go in is because you're the big fat guy with the bubble, right? Yeah. Now, there are some exceptions to that rule. For example, we hate this person because what's she going to do every time you jump?
Boop me.
Boop you, right? So then you having your Sombra do this is part of the reason why you're able to jump in like this, right? At least theoretically, because she's distracted. So maybe you have your Sombra, a little bit of a distraction first. Just make sure that this timing is a little bit cleaner, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And then don't hit your head. But yeah, your backline is like, look at how free your backline is, right? Totally fine. Bubble's fine. You just jump out. Jump out to cover. Jump out to cover. So you're taking too much damage. So as soon as this bubbles out and you've stopped controlling, like, so first off, right here, you could walk back into your bubble and keep zapping if you want to, or you jump out. How useful of a tank are you right now?
0.
0. So you should do 0. I just actually had a monkey coaching session literally right before this one. And we talk about doing nothing when you can do nothing. Don't demand support here. Do not chase this monkey. He's not going to die. I promise you. So don't take damage. Because what do you do by doing this?
Give ult charge.
You give ult charge. Well, not just ult charge, but look at your HP. What does your Ana and Brig have to do?
Just pocket me.
They got to pocket you. They're not thinking about their survivability. They're not thinking about shooting this tracer. They're not thinking about hiding from the Sojourn. They're thinking about pocketing you. And the other problem too is you see that you're at a point in time now where you're going to be wanting to go, right? Look at your HP, look at your bubble, look at your jump. One of these things is not like the other, right?
Gotcha.
Bubble, jump, you're ready to go, but look at your HP. You see that?
Yeah.
So you traded 60 damage onto a Winston for Ana and Brig pocket, which you shouldn't have demanded, and also being extremely late to the dive because it's happening right now. And where are you? You know? Even if you were to dive Sojourn here, right? That's probably the best play. You're not going to go. You're too late. You're still waiting for HP. And then there's our peel bubble, right? And at this time, I don't even blame the peel bubble because like it's not like you can go anywhere anyway, right?
Don't look at this. Gust of wind.
Honestly, I don't even know if you can.
I don't think I do.
It's actually more in your Ana. She's really late with the punch. If you guys had punched that, she would have died. It's not on you. You did fine. Maybe you could have charged the right click a little bit more here, but yeah. Wait, do you? Oh, you
I'm
missed.
pretty sure I miss it. It looks like I get pushed, and I don't know what I did to my keyboard to do that.
Oh, see, I'm sitting here trash
So
talking you on it,
funny.
but you just.
I
missed the
know.
right
I'm like,
button.
I don't know. I know, it's such an odd interaction. It's like, okay.
That is
let's
strange.
just
That's okay.
miss.
It happens.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. Now you're doing nothing. Now you're doing something. But again, it's like you need to have a purpose with where you're going with this jump. You know, like you see Brig, you jump the Brig, but I honestly think you just didn't know she bashed out. So maybe I'll cut you some slack. Yeah, you didn't know she punched out. That's okay. But honestly, okay. So here's the thing though. You jump. The Brig has bashed out, but you didn't see, right? She's behind the wall. You didn't see it, right? So what should you do right now?
Just go back.
Just go back. Just go back. Ah, rats. I messed up. She's gone. Reset. Because guess what? You still have your bubble, right? I know you're down your Sombra, but if one of these guys overextends, you can hit him right in the mouth, right? But you're about to bubble, aren't you? Ah. And it just doesn't really do much, you know? It doesn't really do much. If you don't get the engage that you want, do nothing. Reset, do it again. You see what I'm saying?
That might be an issue with the mid-fight thing. Like, maybe I'm doing too much instead of too little.
Right. Well, okay. So here's what's happening. Let me draw you. I freaking love drawing this chart. This is my happy chart right here. Let me get. Not gonna make this mistake. Okay. So can you see the paint thing?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here's Winston. Okay. Here's your value. Right. Okay. Bubble, no bubble.
This is exactly what I was thinking of in my head too.
Right. What you do is when this is here, you're like, crap, I don't like this downward spike. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw every little bit of value and I'm gonna you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some scotch tape over it and I'm gonna make this not do this. I'm gonna where's my eraser here? I don't like doing nothing. So I'm gonna screw that. They can't tell me what to do, right? I'm gonna do this, right? See, I'm doing something, guys. I'm not doing nothing, right? But then how does that affect the next spike, right? Because inevitably
it makes it less potent. Right?
It makes you less potent, right? Because you're forced to either use your bubble in a crappy way, you take too much damage so that you can't dive in. Maybe even here's another way of thinking about it psychologically, where you are not thinking about your next dive because you're just doing things that aren't particularly useful. So you're not thinking about your next dive. You're not thinking about where do I need to be diving? How do I need to be diving? What cover should I be going on? Who should I be jumping on, right? So what ends up happening is you've got this really gimped up Winston that is always doing something, but never really does anything smart.
Meaningful.
And then also demands constant babysitting, right? It's like, you know what you are is you're the gold diva stereotype. Stands in the front line at like 15 meters and just shoots people like a bastion and dies. That's your job as Winston. I mean, look at how hideous this looks, right? This is your Winston, right? Do more nothing, do more something. And when you're doing nothing, you're not actually doing nothing. You're doing nothing in gameplay, but what is your brain doing?
Thinking about what to do next.
Thinking about what to do next, right? So use this time. Use this time when you don't have bubble, and this applies to all of your tanks, right? No nemesis form. You're down your matrix on diva. You're setting up as wrecking ball. You just use your adaptive shields. Use every hero. Winston has the most downtime of all tanks, but invest the downtime into actually thinking about what you need to be doing next, positioning wise. Because if you do a whole lot of something when you don't have your bubble, when you don't have your jump, when you're missed, then you're just a leech to your supports without actually providing anything for it. That's the problem. It's a good way to farm up a lot of spats and lose a lot of games. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. I think it kind of coincides with my issue, where like I think constant value is shooting at people like a lizard brain, but it's not.
Right, and that's 100% of it. It's a very, very common problem here. So let's apply that here. Okay, so obviously the peel bubble is the other habit that we're looking at too. So let's see here. So we're hard. The EMP comes in, just a little bit, not quite there. Okay, that's okay. So there it is. So keep going. You have nano. You're gonna build primal off of this.
C9.
Charlie Niner. See, if it makes you feel any better, I wasn't even paying attention. So there you go.
There was
yeah, there you go. So okay.
There is a bit of RAM in here too, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, I think there is. Yeah.
I'll stick with a Winston for now, but we can look at the Ram once we finish our little Winston spiel. Oh boy. I mean, versus this composition is classic, right? Because this one even more so because of like the amount of spam damage that they have. Like you are all in or all out, right?
Yeah.
Like you are like really don't want to be peeking. Okay. I don't think it matters that much. I'm helping, guys.
Must
Stop.
shoot the red thing on screen.
Right, exactly. And I mean, look at it, right? Like, what if you guys wanted to dive here, right? You were not ready for it because you were too busy shooting the other red thing on stream.
Yeah.
Okay. Do nothing. Charge out, right click, go in. 3, 2, 1, go. Yes. Good. You weren't even peeking before you dove. I'm so proud of you. Did a good job. This is good. Now, you're going to be very careful because you're about to get absolutely toasted. I think the Mei focus is not always optimal. Would have preferred the BAP instead. So, like, look at where you land. Right here. You see this nade? Come on. You know, get the BAP.
Yeah.
Right? Because you know he's going to lamp, but you're going to be able to kill him right through it. So, I don't mind forcing Ice Block. Like, it's good value. It's just not optimal value.
I agree.
And then, oh, yes, do nothing. Oh, man. Okay, the funny thing is you really try to do nothing. But, you know, it's all right. Maybe, honestly, maybe don't even turn around. Just keep running. It sounds crazy, but just keep running. Yeah, just keep running. I think you guys are okay. Oh, no. Oh, maybe? Too conservative of a bubble, I think, but yeah. Man, that's tough. And you know what's funny is because like that one wasn't even bad. It was just not quite perfect, and that's what cost you, right? All right, let's keep going. The good news is that when you guys get ults, theoretically this should be pretty messy for them. Ooh, that BAP is trolling. Ooh, huge. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, hard. Too lame of a jump, honestly. Again, like get in there. I want landing damage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stop fooling around with the right clicks. Just get in there and land on her. Because what you're doing is you're letting her ramp up her beam without like actually doing any damage, right? Heck, she's healing herself now, like right? Like you need to get on her. Wait, does he die to? He doesn't get whipped off the map, does he? Oh, no way.
He might.
Wait, he doesn't. He just gets one shot. Okay, I thought for sure he got whipped off the map, but no. Your team is just goated. All right, good. Zappy. There's not a lot to say here. This is it. Surely we win. Yes, we win. Okay. Now, fun little thing you can do here. If they're gonna rotate to, I mean, you know what they're gonna do most likely, right?
Mm-hmm.
So where could you be?
I could sit in the window.
You could. You could also sit here and punish them here. And if they rotate coast, also like if they go coast when you have like this, I would love if they went coast right here because you're gonna get like the fattest cleave primal in the history of the universe. But worst case scenario, you can also cleave.
I think we had a debate about this. I think it's better to EMP after TP, but we wanted to EMP before the TP.
I think it's better to do it afterwards just because the nature of Koth where you want to waste as much of their time as possible whenever you can. This is too early, like, and this is too far. Like your supports are gonna do jack all in here, and you can feel like first off I wouldn't have primaled as soon as you did. I mean they pop Blizzard, but you can kind of see like how this feels like really messy, right?
Yeah.
And they're gonna get a TP anyway, so good. Go. Oh, you should have gone in. It's worth. I know you're like thinking like, oh, I'm gonna die, maybe, but you got a nano brick, right? You guys are going in. Go. Good target focus this time though. See, there you go. I mean, honestly, it's gonna be kind of hard because I don't think your problem's gonna be as evident in this matchup because it's so obvious that you don't do anything versus this composition, right? My question is versus compositions that have maybe a little bit less poke. Are you still like doing little goofy, you know, little peek here, little peek there, that kind of a thing? Same thing. Coming from point's gonna mean a lot more. Like it's just really hard for you or your supports to do anything in here. Huge nade.
They all get out.
Except the Moira. 3. Don't peek. Don't peek. Don't peek. Don't peek. Don't peek. Don't peek. Go. That was good. You guys just got mechanically rolled. Stay under. Stay under. Stay under. Stay under. Stay under. Stay under. Oh wow! How did you?
I know she's like beating my ass.
What did she do? Oh, she took TP. I was like, how did she get over here? I thought for sure that she had teleported, like, you know, but she took teleporter and then TP.
Oh yeah,
out.
no, I just noticed that. What?
Yeah, I was wondering how she got so much distance.
And she does it to me again.
Stay in the supports. I think a little too much time on the Ram there. Oh my days. She is
I know,
cooking.
she's just running circles around me.
She is cooking. A little detail here too as well, like right here. What's the plan here?
Yeah.
You know,
it's a great question.
Yeah, it's just tough. Okay, so I think main thing here is just how you guys were setting up your engages. And for you specifically, a little bit of cleaning up your mechanics, cleaning up your target focus, having a better pincer to here, right? From this position here. Because like if you get jump cleave on this teleport, or even not even to jump, just stand here, they are cooked. You're gonna force so many cooldowns just from your damage. Make sense?
Yeah.
Not as much with our prior thing, but I do think that it's probably worth noting that that is an issue. You said Ram here?
Yeah, this is definitely the worst. I have another Ram VOD if this is just terrible, but
I mean, it's up to you. It's your VOD.
Yeah.
Tell me what you want.
I mean, look at this one, and then we'll just see. It's pretty quick because we get stomped.
Okay,
but...
let's pause really quick for the Winston stuff though. Winston.
Sure.
What are the main takeaways? Two main takeaways that may or may not apply to a lot of your games, but certainly worth keeping an eye
on. Being like, well, the way I'd put it is like being aware of your uptime and how it's, in order to have the highest uptime, you have to have downtime. So it's okay to do nothing.
High quality uptime.
Obviously not taking poke.
High quality downtime. You know, it's kind of funny because it's a lot like, I bring everything back to like fitness and sports training. The best athletes sleep the longest and take the most quality rest days. You know, high quality uptime means high quality downtime. That's just how it is. Okay. Okay, and then what else?
The prioritize, or trying to like, I'm trying to think how to word it. Sometimes you can do the same bubble in a better spot, like with the same purpose, right? So it doesn't have to be on top of your supports. It can be on top of someone else to kind of have the same effect, but in a different position. No, I don't know how to word that cleanly.
I got you 2 goals. Protect backline by blocking off follow-up and doing damage.
It's like the best defense is a great offense, right?
Accomplish both. Right. Don't sit there with bubble in your backline. Try to bubble off the enemy supports or DPS whenever you can. I mean, it only happened a few times, but obviously even just that happening once is a little bit concerning. So, okay, let's keep going here. Now, how do you guys win this matchup? Because this is it's interesting weird, to say the least. Okay. What do you think?
To me, it's you kind of got to kill Sim or you lose, because you both want to do the same thing, right?
Which is what?
Which is run it down,
right?
And like exist in the brawl.
Who exists better with ranged pressure?
Their team.
Why?
Because Batman.
Right, Batman. Right. And well, you guys have May too, though, right? So Ryan to Ram, who is better poke?
Ram.
Bat Moira, right?
Bat.
Sim to Reaper.
Sim, probably.
Yeah, Sim. So I think they have the slight edge in the ranged war. It's not about who has to play fast or who has to play slow, but you guys kind of want to close the distance with these guys, right? Now, you have another advantage over Reinhardt, right? Not just your poke, but what else? What happens when you're in Nemesis form?
Sustain.
Sustain?
Like
Shield. Well, I wouldn't say sustain necessarily, but the ability to just kind of pick your target, basically. Right? Ryan has to charge to get to squishies. You just have to walk. right?
Yeah. Oh, the speed boost. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, so you can kind of choose the target that you want. So if you're talking about like play style here, assuming that everything is just kind of neutral, everybody's grouped up, smashing into each other, what do you guys want to do as a unit? You already talked about it, but repeat.
Yeah, I isolate with Maywall, slow, Reaper damage, ram damage on the same target. Yeah.
Get all up in their throat, right? Find a squishy if you can, but just get all up in their throat. But it needs to be timed really, 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 really well. The question is it? And it's okay. It's okay. Okay. So far, so good. Decisive push. You hit Ryan first. Ryan is not necessarily the priority target, but he ended up being very, very, very isolated, so it was fine. And yet you say this one goes really poorly.
It does.
Why? What are they about to do to you? You know what they're about to do to you.
Okay, well, this one's a very special. I mean, I guess it's not because you're assuming they're gonna TP, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we make a very poor decision on the TP. We go for the big guy instead of the small guys.
Well, I guess to me, I would also be hesitating to even stuff this choke, period, with the threat of TP, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because basically what they'll do is they'll wall here, and then they'll take the TP
And just flip
you guys,
the map.
and they'll flip the map on you guys, yeah, and they'll set up TP. You won't be able to catch up with them. Usually versus Sem, people just fight on point because you don't want to. They're going to be able to get past the choke really no matter what way you cut it.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah, obviously here, and honestly, I don't even think chasing big guy is bad. To be honest with you, I think this is fine because like that Rhino is going to go straight to point. I don't know if you can comfortably walk through the choke here. Problem here is really quite simple. She just doesn't press the button.
Oh, just because, yeah.
You know, because like theoretically, you should still have ice block here, and this Rhine probably dies. And you guys they've used Immortality Field and you guys are fine, right? So I think from your perspective, the problem was where you guys were holding the fight and not necessarily how you specifically played. If that makes any sense.
I think so, yeah.
Suffering. A little too much Rhine focus here. I mean, I think chasing that BAP a little bit more aggressively right here was definitely the play. You need to get him. Don't turn back on the Rhine. Get the bat, right? Get that guy. Stop. Too much Rhine focus, I think.
Yeah.
It's only brief instances where I see it, but but even just the fact that you didn't chase this bat is really, 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 really bad, right? He needs to die. It's Overwatch 2, right? This isn't like you remember Overwatch 1 ball. Maybe you do, right? Where you could wall Rhine and freeze Rhine and he Rhine dies, right? Not anymore. Focusing Ryan is fine. He can still die quickly, but if the squishies position themselves close, the squishies are a lot more attractive to focus. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions so far? We're moving kind of fast with a lot of.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Okay, sounds good. How do you guys break this choke?
I think it was a mistake, but we just try to like bait wall and then walk through.
Sure.
Or we can also horizontal wall through, I guess.
You could wall out this way and rotate out, right? Here's another question. Why not just go this way?
That's a great question.
Some teams will meet you here, to be honest with you. It's not going to consistently work. Something to consider, though. The other thing that you could do is I really like your idea of horizontal walling and just running through away from them and run away. And then you could do all sorts of little fake rotates and all sorts of foolishness, right? You could also TP your Reaper onto backline and then walk through the choke with a wall. All sorts of things that you could do here.
I think I just waste too much time.
Well, your Reaper's setting up still. There's the wall bait. The E is bad. Your Reaper gets Death Blossomed, but you guys are nowhere to be seen. You guys do get to the choke. Brick turrets. I mean, this is fine. It's just not perfectly timed well, right? Look at your Mei and look at you. You know? You see the problem here?
Yeah.
It's just a question of timing. And this is why scrum VODs are always a little bit different from ranked, because you're going to have to just sort this timing issue out a little bit, both with your Reaper Death Blossom and with your Mei ult here, because she's going to die without Ice Block again, I promise you. Yeah, there it is. You just needed to push. You guys needed to, your Mei needed to wait, and then you need to have to push like this. Because this is great. Look at you on the flank. Why is that teleporter? But like this had a lot of potential, right? You just timed it poorly. That's all. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. See how much time we got. Some more time. I already let the next session know that we're running a little late, so we're good to go.
Okay.
Do you have another code? We might have time to look at
yeah,
maybe another fight or two.
A rank.
I'm gonna zoom through and see if we can find a talking point from this this last fight. Yeah, to be honest, I don't think you played too poorly. I'm looking at this. I think you played okay. I just think I question the timing of your team. So, timing of your neutral pushes, DPS plus RAM need to be on same page. Don't always hard tunnel Rhine. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a look at another code really quick.
Yeah, we'll try this one.
T9 and
I just know I play RAM and we lose, and I was frustrated. And I think the best VODs are the ones where you don't know what to do. So.
Sure. Let's take a look. Like the positioning here. Let's take a look here. Covers here is good. Your cast is just kind of standing out in the open. It's more on him. The E is fine as well. Now this is interesting. What is your Nemesis form used for? Two things.
Pushing?
Pushing or?
Pulling?
Oh, what does that mean?
Like backing up with block.
Surviving, right? Like
sure,
either you're pushing or surviving. Do you need the Nemesis form for survival right now?
How low do I get? Debatable.
Debatable. Okay. Doesn't necessarily bad. You got a little bit low. But you can kind of see how, like, if you could have greeted here, maybe a little bit tighter with cover, maybe you can hold this Nemesis form, which will make these squishies do what?
Back up.
Back up, right? Basically, you want to bait them forward a little bit before you press it, if you can. If you don't need it for survival, punching a ram, honestly, your mouse 1 literally does more DPS than that, right? Versus a tank. So if you're not finding a way to use that speed boost to push onto a squishy, at that point you might as well just be using your Omnic form, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, because I'm just trading.
Right. Where should you be right now?
Clearing high.
Clearing high, why?
Because cast gets a lot of value.
Why else? What can you do from high? You clear a cast from high, what happens now?
I can like drop a vortex and speed on someone.
Right, you are now the dive hero, right? Yeah. So think about RAM as being your goal is to punch squishies in the face most of the time. So you need to be finding positions and angles with which not only to clear space, but to shoot squishies in the face, right? Do you see what you're doing right now? You're doing the right thing. You're shooting the Moira. But for crying out loud, mate, start from here. This becomes so much easier. So much easier. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not stopping their RAM. And that RAM is not stopping you. So whenever you guys positions better to dive the enemy backline safely is going to win the fight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I love the pressure on the Moira there. That forces the Mercy pocket defensively. Shield there is fine. Your ability usage so far has been pretty good. Suffering. Always suffering. Tricky moment. I think you're just a little bit too slow to react. You hear her steps to you right there. That's your cue to go. If you don't get it now, it's too late, right? And I think the Mercy also ends up... Yeah, she ends up walking in front of you as well. But okay, not the end of the world. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. So staging, better position, good shots here. Cassidy doesn't actually go to the left. Kind of strange. Shield, probably more used for defensive purposes, I assume, for your Cassidy.
Yeah.
I'm imagining. because you don't end
Yeah,
up
I
getting
don't. I don't love holding this space.
Yeah. Cassie's trolling. Okay. So just play back here. Now, at this point in time, what could you be doing? Where could you be doing? Remember, okay, I'm gonna whip out the Winston thing. High value downtime for high value uptime.
So just hiding till I get shield back.
Sure. But think about your positioning.
Yeah, I want to be on high ground.
Sure. Why?
Better LOS.
Better LOS, better opportunities to dive, right? So instead of you poking here, knowing that, okay, we're going to have to get the space anyway, take the time to even pop your Nemesis form. Legitimately, pop your Nemesis form. Run around. Go take the high ground. Drop when you need to. Hold the space for your team. Protect your team versus this Tracer, this Cassidy, and so on. Maybe look for opportunities to dive. Because right now, you are doing things, but you're doing nothing of substance. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the reason why we put a lot of emphasis on that with the Winston is it's not just about Winston. You see that?
It applies everywhere. Yeah.
It applies everywhere. So taking that time between fights and asking yourself, am I in the best position to pressure and dive squishies? The answer is no. Then okay, then do so. Because now it's too late. Now, because here's the thing: when you talk about mid-fight, where things can get a little bit chaotic, right? That was something that you brought up. My question goes, okay, mid-fight, being comfortable with doing nothing, but also pre-fight, setting yourself up so that your mid-fight's gonna feel better. Sure. He trolls. Force fade. Good. Yeah, looks good. Yeah. I'm zooming through this because quantity at this point, because I want to see as much of your gameplay as possible. Good setup position. Love it. Good. Focus on the Tracer. Clear up. Shield here, very unnecessary. It's okay to take damage, right? There's nothing of like huge burst that you need to be blocking here, right? So don't shield, right? For the most part, your shields have been quite good, but this is a bad shield. Make sense?
Yeah. What's like the like if you had to like TLDR shield usage? Because I was watching a couple of videos and a lot of it's just like sustained aggression, right? Like if you're in a spot that isn't optimal, you want to use shield to make it optimal, right?
Sure. Use it. Let's put it this way: what is your shield doing that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise? In other words, could you poke here without your shield?
Yes, because there's a lot of cover.
Yes,
right?
Zero reason to use your shield here.
Gotcha.
Could you push here comfortably without shield? Maybe, yeah.
Once I get past the stairs, I probably want to drop it.
Yeah. Right. But that might be where shield would be really helpful, right? Is if you wanted to push here, like a Sigma shield, allow you to take space, right? Basically, just ask yourself: is there anything that this shield allowed me to do that I wouldn't otherwise be able to do? Earlier, do you remember on Lijiang Control Center where you were like swinging really wide and poking the enemy Rhine shield?
Mm-hmm.
That time you needed shield because what would have happened if you had not used shield there?
Bursted.
You would have been shot by Symmetra, and you would have been shot by Batiste, and you would have, been shot by Mei, and you would have taken a lot of damage to do what in the shield, and you will see it. Like you'll see your shield taking damage. You're like, see, I knew it was a good shield, right? Because otherwise I would have taken a lot of damage, right? There are exceptions, blocking cooldowns, things like that may not provide a lot of shield damage, but they block the cooldown. That's very valuable. But right here, there's nothing that the shield does that you could have literally walked here and like look at your shield HP.
Yeah, I don't think I took any damage.
It took literally zero damage.
I don't think I took any damage either. Yeah.
Right, you didn't even take any damage here. But you could have used this shield here to hop up and smack this guy around, right? And for cut down, and maybe that means that you Nemesis form a little bit later, right? Also, I know their comp is like not exactly the sexiest comp, the punch, because you got Moira and you got Tracer and you got Cassidy, but please don't do this. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. Shoot them, punch the Moira, force her fade. Then you know you got the green light for your annihilation, right?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, let's stop there. So, Ramattra, we obviously got a lot of gameplay. Nothing super in depth, but what are some habits that you can work on?
I mean, the shield usage we just talked about.
Shield usage, which to be fair to you, for the most part, your shields were pretty good. I think at least in the Scrim VOD, their shields felt like you were getting good value, like you were actually getting good damage. You're swinging wide, they're blocking cooldowns. So what's the strategy with shields?
I think sustained aggression and Yeah, just trying to like if you need to swing open space, using it to make that like a good swing, because it kind of like turns a feeding angle into a good angle, right, to do damage.
How does that look phrased?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Kind of what you were just saying there. Yeah. Okay. What else with Ramattra?
Um, how important setting up is. I think I focus on setting up on like Winston Diva a lot, but I never really applied it to Ram, and I think it makes a lot more sense. Like, why would you not want the high ground LOS, right?
Right. I mean, especially when you have the speed boost, right? It's actually pretty important with Jungler Queen too, because you know you're kind of like a short range dive hero, right? Where you can win frontline trades just fine, but if there are other options available, then that might be something to consider.
Yeah.
And then squishy focus a wee bit more, even just the force cooldowns. Sometimes you in the tank ships past in the night, right? Because you know that if you punch Ram, that Ram can just ignore you and punch your backline, right? You're not going to do enough significant pressure to him. Now, a lot of the times there will be nothing but Ram to punch, and so then you should be, for example, think about that first fight on Antarctica, right? Your job was to do more damage to that Ram than he could do to you. Why? Because who else was there to shoot or pressure?
Both teams, right?
Right. No, there was nobody to pressure. It was just you and Ram staring at each
Oh,
other in the
yeah.
corridor, right? That first fight. Remember when you're fighting for high ground?
Yeah.
Win the Ram trade there. However, if you have the opportunity to either set up or position or punch past or shoot past, like that's on the Moira, on the Cassie, even Tracer sometimes, then that's something you want to kind of consider. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Um, don't think so.
Okay. You have a free replay code review as